you know, made sure all the money was supposed to go where it was supposed to, set the website up, all these different things. And when questions started being asked about where all the money had gone, Milo Yiannopoulos told us all that out of nowhere, Margaret McLennan had just lost her mind and ruined the privilege grant, made it all fall apart, started to spread rumors about Milo, and tried to ruin his life. I guess much like Alum, she was just another woman that had suddenly turned to the far left and become a spy for them and was trying to ruin Milo. And we believed it. I don't know why. I don't know why. I still believed things Milo told me.
Imagine people still believe me when I say everybody around me is crazy.
At that point, I had some sort of Stockholm syndrome of him being like the head of the conservative movement, the biggest figure in there, and everything he said was just like God's word, right? But I remember even talking to people and being like, oh yeah, that Margaret McLennan chick, she's a bit crazy, isn't she? She went crazy on Milo. Milo warned me about her. And even without any evidence or facts, you just believed what Milo told you. And once again, it wasn't until months and months later that I discovered Margaret had tried to tell her side of the story, but she just didn't have the platform for it. She had tried to tweet out the evidence. She had tried to explain what happened to the privilege grant, but most people didn't see it because she wasn't the one with the Breitbart byline. She wasn't the one with millions of viewers. She was just the support staff that got thrown under the bus. Margaret didn't steal any of the money. In fact, she published actual receipts, actual emails showing all of the money got transferred into Milo Yiannopoulos' bank account.
And now I'm proud to be one of the loudest voices criticizing the grant after I found what I believe to be internal mishandling. My name was removed from marketing materials, and Milo later attempted to shift blame for mismanagement of the grant onto me. My access as director was restricted to answering emails forwarded from the grant site where...
It might be the case that, like, this is maybe not true, that, like, people are... No, actually, hold on. I was going to say, the thing that irritates me the most when people turn into scammers or whatever, they don't just scam once or twice. Like, do like one or two like slick scams and then be done with it. But they'll just like keep going and going and going. And I was gonna say, well, maybe the people that are smart enough to do it once or twice just would never scam in the first place. But it could be that there are people that do scam once or twice and you just never hear about it because they don't get caught. Maybe, who knows?
I directed prospective applicants to wait, and I directed donors to wire money to a personal bank account owned by Yiannopoulos. The paperwork to sign ourselves as a charity was kicked down the road, and the grant was only addressed in public after major fundraising drives, when I spoke up to left-wing outlets in an effort to make sure the raised money would end up in the bank accounts of college students.
He took all of it. He stole hundreds of thousands of dollars from working-class Americans to give to poor, white, young men who needed the help, and he just took it and then blamed his support staff, Margaret, ruining her life and her reputation so he could keep the money. And everyone just let that slide. Everyone just let it slide. I'm sorry, it's like all so shocking looking back on it. Yeah, I didn't find out, like, I just believed Milo. I believed Milo at the time about Alum, I believed Milo at the time about Margaret, and this is a bit of a premonition for the future of this video, but whenever I look forward and I feel bad for myself, when a bunch of people believed stories about me that ended up, or are false, I feel less bad for myself because I realized I played into this culture of, you know...
What if the big reveal in this video is that Lauren wasn't one on the boat, it was her sister, but they just look kind of similar at nighttime?
Just believing what the popular figures in the right wing said about people. Oh, they're an Antifa spy, write them off. I just believe it. And then it happened to me, and a bunch of people just believed it and didn't look into it further, and I was so shocked and offended and surprised. It's like, well, no, I did the same thing. People, we all think we're the party of facts and logic. We all think we're the, we're the right wing. We care about the receipts, we care about the reality, but then we have a lot of cult-like dynamics, or still have a lot of cult-like dynamics of our own.
Not like the omni-liberals, guys. We're better than that.
Where we don't really look into things that deeply if the saints of our movement say it. And yeah, for how proud I was for a lot of my life of, I really care about the reality, there were a lot of points where I missed it myself. No one likes to talk about this stuff because it's messy, right? It doesn't make anyone look good. It doesn't make me look good because it makes me look like I'm gonna air everyone's dirty laundry. It doesn't make everyone in the movement or conservatism look good because they look like a mess. They look like it's full of people that are stealing money and lying about each other. And I could very easily carry on just making videos. climb that social ladder, not talk about any of this, and my life would be a lot simpler, but I genuinely can't. I can't. It doesn't feel right. I feel like it's dishonest. I feel whenever I talk about the right wing and when people wonder why I have so much distrust or skepticism or
Animosity.
why I don't like the right or isolate myself a bit more, no one really understands why. And I haven't explained any of it because it's just so much. It's so much. And it's easier not to talk about. But yeah, we're about to get into some heavy stuff here. We're about to get into some much heavier stuff. Whew. So 2016, 2017, back to the main storyline. Milo's in hot water over his privilege grant, and I am in some hot water of my own. I just don't know it yet. I've moved to Toronto, working for Rebel, killing it. All my videos are doing fantastic. I'm getting these interviews with Jordan Peterson, first one on SJWs, all his protests, they're going viral. At this point, I'm on top of the world. I don't think anything's gonna change. It's just upward trajectory with Rebel from here. And then I'm sitting at my desk in the office, and I get an email. It's from Ezra, and it says the office are going on an Israel trip. We're gonna have some fun, try some couscous, make some
Oh my God, she does love Israel, guys.
videos. It'll be great. Okay, so anyways, a few months go by, we're getting closer to the actual trip, and we start getting emails asking us to do public crowdfunding for the trip, and to crowdfund it as a fact-finding investigative journalism mission. No worries. The only problem I had was that when I was speaking to people in the office about the trip and getting itineraries for it, it became pretty obvious that this was a guided tour, not a fact-finding mission. We had, people we were slated to speak to every day. We had a tour guide that was, aligned with an organization that was assisting to fund the trip. And I have no problem whatsoever with guided tours of Israel, people who do these paid-for trips to kind of get people to understand the politics and the ideas there. That's not my issue at all. It was that it wasn't being honest with the audience. What we were asked to pitch the audience was that we were going on this hardcore fact-finding mission, when really it was just like a tour guide trip that was already being assisted in funding. So I sent an email to the higher-ups telling them, listen, seems like a great trip, seems like a lot of fun. My particular expertise is not in Middle Eastern issues whatsoever. I don't have a massive opinion on this stuff. And I'm just not comfortable telling the audience that we're going on a fact-finding mission that's actually a tour, right?
So I want to share some of my concerns about the Israel crowdfunding. Why do you guys use these terms? I feel like, sorry, I see that Lauren for Liberty, and it sounds like a conservative, American email address, but maybe Canadians do this too. The bookcase can't be blocked from view from the table. I don't care, fuck it. So I want to share some concerns about the Israel crowdfunding. It does indeed say in the first email that let's do a lot of fun videos about there, so that's fine. I did, however, assume that such a cost-ineffective trip with so many talent being brought along was sponsored. Maybe I was silly to assume that, but it looks like I was partially right anyway. I love being able to do grassroots crowdfunding for stuff like DC. People are happy to help. And although I don't necessarily agree with overfunding for stuff, I get that's how we make money. We're a business, and it can be justified in the public eye. I, however, don't see how such a cost-ineffective trip with so many talent and so little demand for a story in the area, especially from my Israel-Palestine illiterate perspective, can be justified for crowdfunding. I never would have imagined, after seeing the initial list of people going, that we would have our audience pay for that? ? I don't feel comfortable crowdfunding for this. Wouldn't mind putting in a general video just saying support the Rebel with buying a membership, etc. That's totally cool. Just have a lot of trouble morally justifying this one. Let me know your thoughts. If that means I can't go to a stand, if you want to take Jerry something instead, I get it. Just don't feel morally right doing this. Wow, cringe. She should have just gotten her bag.
Right? So can I fundraise in some other way? Can I maybe just ask people in general for donations to Rebel? Say we need help, say we need, obviously every company needs money to function and run. So can I just portray this in a different way that I feel is more honest to the audience? And maybe I'll even take a step back from the Israel trip. I don't have to go. I'm not a big fan of the structure. I didn't think I had done anything wrong. I thought that was a very reasonable, well-measured approach to a situation that I was a bit uncomfortable with. But for some reason, I still had this sinking gut feeling that there was something bad about to happen. Went home, slept, got to work the next day, setting up my papers in the office, getting ready to write my video, and I get called into the general manager's office. I hadn't done anything wrong. I still hold that I had not done anything wrong, so I didn't think I had reason to be worried. But when they brought me in, I was told that
Wait, hold on.
that I was a bit uncomfortable with. Like not a big reasonable. For some reason, I still had night fundraising.
The only thing I was curious here is if she CC'd like other people in the company, because that would explain why somebody got really mad. It could be for other reasons too, but I was curious if there was like a CC to like other people or whatever. But okay, just checking.
Some other way. Can I pick more? I'm not a big fan of the structure. I didn't think I had done anything wrong. I thought that was like a very reasonable, well-measured approach to a situation that I was a bit uncomfortable with. But for some reason, I still had this sinking gut feeling that there was something bad about to happen. Went home, slept, got to work the next day, setting up my papers in the office, getting ready to write my video, and I get called into the general manager's office. I hadn't done anything wrong. I still hold that I had not done anything wrong, so I didn't think I had reason to be worried. But when they brought me in, I was told that I was being let go. I was being fired from the company. Yeah, I lost my job in conservative media. And I will never forget walking out of that office with my little box of things and sitting on the curb outside, thinking to myself, you know what? I did the right thing. I did the right thing. I was honest about how I felt about this. I was honest that it made me feel uncomfortable, and if I got fired for being honest, then so be it. That's why I'm making this video right now, because I'm really bad at being dishonest. But you know, I also had this feeling of impending doom that just sunk in my stomach, realizing how am I gonna pay the rent? How am I gonna pay my next bill? I live in a one-bedroom apartment in Toronto, sleeping on a mattress that I can't even afford a bed frame for. Just having this realization that doing the right thing doesn't pay the bills, it's depressing, but true, and it never changes. This video is probably going to severely hurt my career. Severely. There'll probably be a bunch of people that cut me off, maybe people that pursue me legally. It's not gonna be good. It's not gonna be good, but I have sat for so long wanting to make this video, and it bothers me all the time, every day, when I don't. So I just have to, whatever.
Jesus. I just want to be on the record. If there are any conservatives that would seriously consider cutting off Lauren for this type of video, my email is contact@destiny.gg. If you offer me enough money, I'll join you, okay? But I need a big payment. If you're not willing to offer 5 figures, don't even think about it, okay? But just let me know, okay?
So after my whole crying on the curb situation, I say, F it, you know what? I believe in this. I believe in doing this right. I'm gonna go independent, do my own thing, not cause any drama, don't need that in my life, just move on. And then a few months after going independent myself, I see this video come up on my news feed of a couple guys that also got fired from Rebel that had a bunch of problems with them, named Kaylin and George. And they were working for Tommy Robinson, doing incredible content with him. It's going viral. Tommy's career is killing it. And these videos they're filming are just gorgeous. And I realized they've actually DM'd me before. So we get in touch, and we decide we're gonna do some work together. I'll come out to London, we'll do some filming. They love what they're doing, but things are hectic and chaotic, which, let's get into that. I fly out to London, and Tommy, Kaylin, and George are They're hard to explain. So publicly, the whole drama with Rebel Media, allegedly Kaylin and George were blackmailing Tommy Robinson. That was what the public story was. And that's why they were fired from Rebel, and that's why there was all this drama.
I've had a rough week. No, it's not what you think. It's not because the liberal media is criticizing us for being too right-wing. That happens all the time. Something else happened to me for the first time in my life, actually, and I don't really know how to say it other than to just say it, and I can't really believe it, but here it goes. I'll say it. I'm being blackmailed. They were threatening Tommy Robinson, too. Kaylin Robertson and George Llewellyn-John threatened to release video footage they claimed to have taken of Tommy Robinson confessing that he punched the guy at Ascot in self-defense.
When I went to London and I met them all at a bar together as they were laughing and acting like best friends. It was another one of those situations where I just walk in and I'm like, is anything these people in politics say publicly true? Is any of it true? Why are the three of you here laughing and having beers together when everyone on Twitter is talking about how you've all betrayed each other and are having this...
Oh, it's like my dream of going to the bar and seeing all the people hanging out with each other. And I'm like, wait, I thought you guys all hated each other. And they're like, no, that's fake. True.
massive fallout.
Like the dream. Actually true. Except it's real life. I knew it.
But they basically said, yeah, none of that was true. We're good mates. That's just rebel drama. We're fine. We're all working together. Come join us in the UK. Have some fun. So I stay in the UK for a while. We film a bunch of videos. I watch their process filming content with Tommy. At this point in time, they are secretly filming for Tommy. So the public don't know since they're supposed to be in public drama. And this seemed to be a repetitive cycle. Actually, you know what? Let me pause for a minute here and explain this. This is really important. Kaylin, Tommy, and George were like a toxic relationship. They would fight all the time, they'd have problems and break up, but they also kind of needed each other. Like they worked really well together, but they were just constantly having these make-up, break-up sessions. But the issue was both of them would make mistakes. Tommy would go out on a bender, get drunk and fall asleep under a bridge somewhere and not show up to a shoot that they were supposed to do and forget to pay them. Kaylin and George would get pissed and decide to use his credit card to pay dinner for themselves since they didn't get paid for a whole day of work they were supposed to get paid for and took the day off for. And they'd have all of these constant falling outs that were absolutely 1,000% both of their faults. But because Tommy was the public figure and because it was him that the public looked to and gave donations to, and he was kind of, you know, the face of the operation, whenever falling outs would happen, all of the blame publicly had to go on Kaylin and George. Of course, they're the support staff. If Tommy's reputation is wrecked, well, then none of them have jobs anymore. So Tommy would apologize in private all the time for dumb shit that he did, for forgetting to pay them, for not showing up for things. He would apologize all the time in private, but no one publicly ever saw those apologies. So it looked like everything that ever went wrong in the relationship between Tommy, Kaylin, and George was always Kaylin and George's fault. It was another one of these million situations that I witnessed over and over and over again, where support staff would just absolutely have their reputations destroyed by famous people basically needing to protect their reputations, because that's their whole job. So Kaylin and George, I know a lot of people watching this are going to be like, are you talking about those Antifa traitors? Are you talking about those scum that scammed Tommy Robinson? Oh, my friend. I'm sorry, but you have heard a lot of stories that are just not even remotely close to true. And half of it started with this beginning constant breakup, makeup cycle and apologies only happening one way publicly towards Tommy. So that's kind of explaining the grounding that I'm walking into in London and what I'm witnessing. It's all chaos. Everything people see publicly isn't quite the truth. And these people work amazing together, but it's a toxic relationship. Plain and simple. So at this point, I'm doing a ton of work with Kaylin and George. They're filming these hilarious, like just gorgeous videos for me, like how to be a single woman. It was so funny. We had so much fun filming it. But then they're also working for Tommy. So Tommy's coming by every other day saying, hey, let's go out and do this shoot and that shoot. Half of it is public with Kaylin and George. Half of it is private and secretive. They're always in some drama. But eventually I get invited to speak at Day for Freedom in the UK. This was right after I got banned. Oh, there's a lot that happened between there, but that's for a whole nother video on its own. And I want to get into this story because once again, I really want to talk about all the people that were burned throughout this process and all the people that were burned over money, reputation, this kind of stuff. It's really important to highlight just how messed up the culture was in this political movement. Lucy Brown.
Look for the girl with the sun in her eyes and she's gone. The sky with diamonds. The sea in the sky with diamonds. Follow her down to the bridge by the fountain. Broken hosts people of my
Lucy Brown. Lucy Brown was another support staff for Tommy. So there were like 3 people that were basically making Tommy's career possible. And you'll notice that you probably don't see much of Tommy Robinson on your feed anymore. And you can jump up and down and blame censorship. But the reality is a lot of people need their support staff to be successful. And when you burn them, hard to keep going.
And the people were thanking me. I had loads of people coming up saying thank you for the day. I didn't do anything. That's the truth. They done it all.
So it was Lucy Brown, Kaylin, and George. They were running the websites, they were doing all the editing, they were doing all the graphics, they were organizing all the events, they were pulling Tommy and whoever else out of bars, half drunk.
She's been seek-heiling her way around Birmingham. And somehow she thinks it's all sort of cute.
To get them to bed, to sleep, and then driving them places in the morning. It was crazy how much the 3 of these people did.
You're wearing real fur.
I think that's fucking outrageous.
That is disgusting.
How was that steak you ate yesterday?
Yeah, but JFK was murdered.
Steak? You're not comparing a steak to fur?
I'm wearing it, you're eating it.
Lucy, this is a boardroom. What do you think you're doing? What is this? Presentation. Lucy!
That's not a fact.
But Lucy was one of the main point persons for organizing Day for Freedom.
God, the fucking tape, fucking every time people do this shit is the worst thing in the world.
Today has been called the Day for Freedom. These people feel like they are losing their voice in society. However, is that really the case when they're amongst some of the most famous, followed and talked about activists in the country? The event was organised by former EDL leader Tommy Robinson, who thinks that the government, the media and social media companies are trying to censor his views.
A lot of you will remember this if you were around in that time. Huge event in London. Milo spoke there, Gavin spoke there. I spoke there on a billboard right after my ban. And one of the angles that Tommy and Lucy and everyone thought would be fun to take was this isn't just like a free speech event for right-wingers. We support free speech in general for everyone. We're going to have a drag queen come and sing there. We're going to have a Muslim speaker come there. Obviously, Tommy's whole approach to things was criticizing Islam. So the idea that he would do a free speech event and have a Muslim there would be massive. Like really show a commitment to free speech.
So it's 8:30 and we needed somewhere to film in Manchester. And we were meeting Janaea and Red Pill Phil for our promo video. So I contacted my mate Mark. And we've invaded and we've drunk all his dad's beer. We've just finished, we left at 6 this morning. We're about to head back down to Luton now. We've got a busy day tomorrow, but this promo, it will be worth it. It's about showing how many people this is affecting, all the different communities and everyone that's affected. So yeah, peace and get gear out.
Tommy actually did a public announcement saying we're going to have Ali Dawa, one of Tommy's arch nemesis, come and speak on stage. He did this announcement on Facebook. And he told Lucy, invite Ali Dawa, make a poster for him, bring him to the event.
Will Ali Dawa be speaking?
Yes, Ali Dawa will be speaking. He's our surprise Idiot of the Day guest.
But as soon as Tommy posted that Facebook video, he got incensed reactions from his audience. A lot of football lads, a lot of people that felt Tommy was betraying his criticisms of Islam, betraying his ideals by inviting this guy. And within less than an hour, Tommy deleted this Facebook video. Just pretended he never uploaded it. Gone, right? Deleted all of the posts he made about Ali Dawa coming. Got rid of them all.
Based.
The event comes the
Based
next
religious
day.
intolerance.
Ali Dawa shows up for his scheduled speaking time. I think Count Dankula even posted a photo of the speakers list where it showed Ali Dawa's speaking slot.
God, they've actually got Ali Dawa. It's happening, it's happening. This is fantastic.
Tommy's, it's hard to talk about because obviously this is, I believe there are so many legitimate concerns about Islam. I think there are so many people in the UK that are conservative, that truly, deserve a voice. But there were some bad actors there that were Tommy supporters, that when Ali Dawa and Mohammed Hajib, I think was his friend, when they showed up to give their speech, they got beat up. They got beat up and dragged out of the Day for Freedom event.
Not a good look for a free speech event.
Yeah. Wait.
Struggling. Hey. What are you struggling with? The weather or? Yes, the weather.
What are you struggling with?
I can't say. And it's my lips are sealed, ironically.
I thought conservatives dropped the Islam thing. Does Ella still do that? Mean a lot? I don't know if she's talked about it much recently. Anti-Islam sentiment, I think, across Europe was probably peaked or became a huge hot button topic post 2013 refugees from Syrian exodus. That the Syrian refugee crisis, I think, is one of the huge events that spurred on a lot of the kind of anti-Islam sentiment, and then kind of furthered a lot of the right-wing parties that grew, especially I think in France with Marie Le Pen, and I think Germany with the AfD. Sweden had their own problems taking on shit. But 2013, 2014, I think was a big driver of that. I would argue that probably one of the biggest contributing factors to Brexit. There were, that was just that the Syrian refugee thing was a really, really, really big deal in terms of pushing a lot of the anti-Islam rhetoric. And then ISIS as well, obviously, didn't help with the terrorist attacks and everything too. But I think with the Syrian refugee crisis, that's where you were getting the big videos and shit. With I think even people like Lauren saying things like, "Look at all the." What was the term she used? The fighting age men that are coming to these other countries that aren't real refugees and shit. That was a big thing, yeah. In her video, a current take section, she just did her big signal about having an issue with Islam, which is why I asked. I don't know. I haven't watched it. Part of the Brexit propaganda was Turkey could join the EU, Syria could be next. Sure, maybe, I don't know.
I was invited today. No, back up! Because I want to speak about freedom of speech. There you go.
Do you let us speak?
Yes.
No, you don't. When do you ever stand up for us to have our say? You really don't.
Come on,
Jesus Christ is our Saviour.
The free speech event, that's supposed to be for conservatives, supporting the free marketplace of ideas. Meanwhile, all of us make fun of Antifa for needing to resort to violence. That event resulted in right-wingers beating up Muslims for wanting to speak freely. Everyone becomes a hypocrite, hey? But that actually wasn't that was a terrible, terrible part of that event, horrible part of that event. But that actually wasn't one of the worst things that happened. After Ali Dawa got beat up.
I think I mentioned, I think I've mentioned this before. I think at an early point in my life, I think the most disillusioned I'd become with conservatives because I would say in high school, I was like a conservative / libertarian. I think a lot of younger people would have been. You're kind of like a conservative / libertarian because in some ways, a lot of them were conflated. But it was like my mom, obviously, Cuban immigrant, was in the Air Force, tells me all these great things about America, freedoms, anybody can do them, blah, 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 blah. And you'd always heard, like, there are so many ubiquitous phrases among right-leaning people. I might disagree with what you say, but I'll die for your right to say it, right? I'd heard that type of shit a lot. And, you know, conservatives were way better than liberals at protecting free speech who wanted to censor everything. Even back then when I was in high school, that was the take. But it was after the 9/11 attacks when conservatives and people in New York were starting to protest, like, mosques being built. I was like, hold on. This is the United States of America. You can't tell somebody not to build something because you don't like their religion. That's fucking wild. I remember that was like one of the first like huge moments for me as a kid where I was like, I don't think this is living up to the American ideal very much. Because there were huge, every time like somebody wanted to put up a new mosque or something in New York, people were like, this is only 2 miles from ground zero. This is ridiculous, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, holy shit, that's a little bit not very American, Chief. What happened to the whole, die for your right to say it and everything? I guess not. I think Trump was one of those people at that time that was saying, I remember the stories of like, I heard 2 different flavors of the same story. I don't know what ended up being the more popular, but one was that when the towers came down, there were groups of Jewish people dancing. I feel like that was a later one made up by alt-righters, but the more popular one at the time was, I thought it was when the towers came down, there were a group of Muslims that were dancing. That was the one that I'd heard said so much. Like, look, these Muslims in the United States were celebrating the fall of the Twin Towers. I've heard that take repeated by alt-righters a while ago where they say it was Jewish people instead. But yeah, I remember at the time there was a very, very, very high anti-Islam sentiment in the United States. So I was like, it's a little bit crazy, but okay.
Up and dragged out of the event.
Maybe it was Hassan dancing.
A lot of people publicly wanted an explanation. Why did Ali Dawa show up, Tommy? Why did he think he was going to get this free area to speak his horrendous ideas in front of a crowd? And Tommy publicly said,
I'm happy if my freedom and right to freedom of speech, where I was invited today, would happen today. If it doesn't, you know what I mean?
You're on the menu. Clearly said Ali Dawa was not invited to speak. 3 posts saying he's categorically not invited to speak. Now, those posts were removed from my Facebook. I didn't remove them. An admin removed them. Why? I don't know.
Was there any validity to the dancing claims that were just made up? On the day of, I think it was made up. Then somebody, I think, tried to say like there was a year anniversary where it happened. And I think there were like some people dancing or photographed somewhere, but it was at like a New Year's party like a few months later or so. I don't remember. But the original claim, if you've never heard the original claim before, it was basically that like either a group of Jewish people or a group of Muslims was dancing because they were either celebrating death to America or they were celebrating that their like secret plans to like bring down the towers worked or whatever. There's 50 million different flavors of that conspiracy theory.
Just completely lied. I don't even dislike Tommy. I just dislike the fact that he did this stuff.
And this is where I absolutely have to call out Tommy Robinson for posting completely fake news to his Facebook profile. In a video Tommy Robinson posted the other day, it says in the beginning, Mohammed Hijab assaults police. The description of the video says, Muslim MMA fighter turns up to provoke trouble at the Day of Freedom, and his film crew live stream him hitting a police officer. #own goal. That is completely disingenuous.
He came out and publicly said, I would never invite Ali Dawa. Never in a million years. I would never invite that moron to come speak at my event.
Lucy, stop.
What do you mean I'm lying?
You said to me to delete the tweet because you wanted to introduce him.
Go on, off you go, you fucking coward.
I wish I had the audacity to do something that's probably, no, I didn't say that. No, what? No, I didn't. It's a good meme.
In fact, not only did I not invite him, he was secretly invited behind my back by Lucy Brown, who is this horrible left-wing Antifa spy that is trying to destroy our movement.
Base.
Oh, where have we heard this story before, am I right? And he pinned all the blame for this on Lucy.
If you haven't figured this out, we kind of got this with Nick's America First shit imploding a little bit recently. On the left, everybody is like a secret Nazi or fascist. On the right, everybody's a secret Antifa or FBI informant.
said she did it behind his back, was secretly working against him. Oh.
It makes you question how long herself or others have been
undermining the movement,
conspiring or working together. We'll soon see anyway, won't we? But yeah, I should have took the warnings. Everyone tried to warn me. Everyone warned me.
And what came of this was just horrendous. Lucy randomly just started seeing all of these tweets all over her timeline, all over Facebook, saying she was a disgusting whore, a snake, that she had betrayed the movement, how dare she, and just started panicking. I've talked to her about this 1,000 times, but it wasn't until 3 days later that she found out that Tommy had also fired her from her job. She'd given up everything. She was quite a successful photographer.
Base
she
secret
had
firing.
Really good opportunities.
In her
She
sleep.
was a young, beautiful girl with
that's not
a
funny.
whole future ahead of her, and she had thrown it all away to work for Tommy because she believed in what he was doing, just to be fired out of nowhere so that Tommy could keep up public appearances. That, of course, I didn't invite Ali Dawa. Lucy was a secret snake that did all of this. And he obviously, to back that up, he couldn't just keep her employed. That would look crazy. People would be like, why are you still employing this woman who's a snake who went behind your back? So he fired her. He fired her to keep up the public appearance of this lie he told. That video of him saying he invited Ali Dawa exists. It's out there. But no one bothered to look for it. They just completely believed, once again, what their idol at the front of the movement, it's Tommy Robinson. How could he do any wrong? They just believed him and took a stand against Lucy. Lucy's life was destroyed. There's no other way of putting it. Absolutely destroyed. She had to go on to government assistance. She had a massive mental health collapse after all of this stuff that she sacrificed her life for. Everyone turned against her. She had to move back in with her parents, got extremely ill.
That's what's gonna happen to Lanny after Xander Hall fucks her life up, guys. Don't let it happen. Hashtag save Lanny.
Going to counseling, almost killed herself. She did nothing wrong. She did nothing wrong. And she kept trying to tell the truth and just say, no, like, we should have let him speak. That was the plan from the beginning, and no one believed her. They all took a stand against her. There are absolutely no rewards for people who stick to their values in this industry. No rewards.
And these are people that are supposedly concerned about young white girls being groomed and raped, and they're speaking to you in this way.
Yes, as a result of, standing up and saying I don't necessarily agree with this, or, I'm going to go my own way. I'm now, sort of living in a kind of situation where I'm sort of scared for my safety.
This is something I really want to touch on because it's something I have seen repeat itself so many times. But after Lucy's massive mental health collapse, her life being destroyed by all of this, she still has stalkers to this day that threaten to kill her. She has people yell at her in the streets over her being the traitor to Tommy Robinson. All completely false. Of course, when left-wing journalists came to her and said, we care about you, we care about your side of the story,
They just want the story
that way. Having someone say that to her, of course she'd want to go speak to them and have someone who actually wants to hear her side, which perpetuates the lie. People see her now go speak to left-wing journalists and they say, see, we called her a snake. We said she was a snake. We called it right, when in reality she was driven to speak to them by a bunch of people on the right being horrible to her.
Would you say he's far right?
Like him or loathe him, he speaks on behalf of them. It's not about him in a way, it's about the people who he represents, and there's a heck of a lot of them, and they feel left behind.
Yeah, and it's like a self-confirming prophecy, but eventually Lucy realized all the left-wingers that wanted to speak to her as well just wanted to use her for political reasons and then discard her, and she's been having a really hard time. A really hard time since all of that. A lot of these people that I kind of look back on as the casualties of this political movement I got swept up in, I still keep in touch with them. I still talk to them and ask them how they're doing every once in a while, and I care. A lot of people that were in my position, they're just the casualties. They're gone. But I really care what happened to a lot of these people. So I still talk to Lucy every once in a while, and I spoke to her recently, especially letting her know I was going to film this. I asked, looking back on it, what do you think of these people like Tommy that did this to you? What do you think of, obviously I had my own experiences with this. What do you think of these people that just throw you under the bus for sticking to your values? And she wrote something that, it's like a dagger to my heart when I read it, but she said, personally, I think we stand as a mirror to their failings, because they either gave up on their morals long ago or never had any in the first place, and are surprised when someone with nothing to gain still stands up for what they think is right. Exactly what they claim to do to their poor audiences. And, you know, when she talks about that mirror, how Lucy's sticking to her values and saying, no, you know what? You may try to ruin my life, but it was the right thing to say we should have Ali Dawah speak at this conference. It was the right thing. That's our true dedication to free speech. And I'm not going to lie about it. All I could think is when people see that mirror, that makes them look into how hypocritical they're being, all they want to do is smash that mirror. All they want to do is destroy people like Lucy who make them look at their own shortcomings. And God, it makes me, yeah, it's, had to watch it one too many times, happened to far too many people that I care about. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna take a break.
Okay, food break. Give me 3 minutes, 1 second. It's interesting to see, and I know you said it a lot, but it's cool to see how truly principled and how much Ella sticks to her values, or at least appears to in this video, like dropping out of a free vacation because she doesn't believe in it and getting fired for it. Big difference for most lefties. I don't think it's like a political thing. Like, I don't think that like conservatives are more likely or lefties are more likely. I think it just comes down to like an individual person. I think that most people that are in the political arena, whether you're on the left or right, I think most people are here to just kind of like, it's like entertainment kind of. And the people in this space are actors. So you're here to like put on a show, get paid, do your thing, and then whatever your certain like political side is, it's more or less just kind of a it's like the role that you're playing basically. I mean, like you can see in terms of like my interaction with like a lot of people on the left, like I say this a lot, but like I truly do feel like people like Keffels or Bad Bunny or Hassan, like in another world, with like 1 or 2 different tweaks in their life, like these would be people like spamming the N-word at people in COD lobbies and shit. They just happen to fall on the other side. Like anytime somebody gets so eager to use like a slur or like cracker or gusano, they like get like eager, like giddy to defend it, and then they start to wheel out all the most dog shit defenses that we've heard people say for like, you know, the N-word or for any other slur. Like it's pretty obvious that like in another world you were so close to being that person, but you found like a different way, like a different conduit through which to channel your feelings. But let me go warm some food up real quick. Hold on. Somebody donated $10. I'm not really reading super chats until we get to the end of this, but like, I don't know. I think I actually disagree. I think a lot of these people are a bunch of bullied losers who wish they could torture their bullies, and they try to find that opportunity every day. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know. Do you have this vision while driving at night? Sometimes, not this extreme, but I think if you have these problems, I think it's a sign of an astigmatism, which I have slightly in one of my eyes. People get really mad when I say like, oh, I have like some respect for like people like Fuentes or Lord or whatever. I think it's not so much, it has nothing to do with their political views. I have respect for people that like genuinely have like some principled political beliefs that they actually believe in. Because when I look at how a lot of people act online, I've said this like a million times, it feels like a lot of these people don't really have any beliefs. It's just like whatever the trendy shit is at the time that gets them the most clicks and views. And the way that I see this the most is it's very, very, very rare that I have a conversation with any of these big people where it feels like they really understand what they're talking about and they can like provide like a challenging perspective or conversation. Like most of them avoid conversation like the devil because they know they can't provide any interesting or challenging perspectives. A lot of people don't understand anything they're talking about. So then a lot of the outrage and feelings that just feel like very performative to me. So like when Lance gets like really indignant about Google wouldn't even let these poor trans people have their names on their badges. They wanted to dead name them constantly. but he didn't know anything about the story. He didn't know if it was actually Google. It was just a security subcontractor. He didn't know the reason why. He hadn't thought about it. It's like, how can you be so mad? How can you be so mad about the story, but you don't even know anything about it? Like, it sounds like this is all like just performative bullshit. I don't like. It doesn't seem like you care about this at all. Like, I don't know, that kind of stuff drives me fucking crazy. Any people on the left that you respect? In terms of large content creators, I don't think so. Maybe, I like AOC seems like somebody genuinely, but she's like a politician, not a content creator. I don't know. I'd have to think about it. I'm sure there must be some people out there. Hutch, I wouldn't consider Hutch like a political guy. Hutch seems genuine though. Abba and Preach, yeah, but I mean they're not like political commentators. Yeah, I don't know.
Farmlands.
I'm in South Africa to find truth.
Truth.
In a country where farming is one of the most dangerous jobs on earth. The farmland is unlethal.
Your music! So loud!
When I went independent, one of the main things I wanted to do was just real on-the-ground journalism, like real stories, real people. I was getting so sick of the drama behind the scenes, so sick of the talking points every day in front of the camera with the teleprompter, right? And I just wanted to cover something real. And I kept seeing on Twitter all these people talking about a white genocide going on, children being tortured and murdered, whole families being executed, and the government covering it up. And this just seemed like, why is no one talking about this issue? You have mainstream media companies with millions of dollars in budget that are not covering this at all. I'm not seeing it anywhere. So I spoke to Kaylin and George. Didn't have much money at the time, but we had enough for flights there and back, and we were like, let's just do it. Let's go take this crazy chance, see what's going on the ground, and tell the story. So we booked those tickets, getting ready to go, and I remembered an old promise I had. Some of you will recall Faith Goldie. We worked together at Rebel Media. We had a great relationship, super close friends. She was like my mentor for everything. Mainstream politics, helped me buy dresses, told me how to fashion myself. I taught her about internet culture and memes, and we just got along well. But when I left Rebel, we didn't talk that much. We only talked one time in person before Farmlands was filmed. I remember telling her about my idea of wanting to go to South Africa, and we had made a pinky promise that if I went and did a report like this, we would do it together. She would come with me, and she really wanted to. And right before we left on the trip, I just remember that coming to the back of my mind and being like, I promised Faith we'd do something like this together. So I'm gonna call her up and just tell her about the trip, see if she wants to join. It's December, I was back home with my family for Christmas, and I called her that night, and she answered the phone. I told her about the trip, asked her if she wanted to come, and she just flew into a rage. It was the strangest thing. I was like, Faith, I'm inviting you on this trip to come with us. Like, if you don't want to come, that's fine, but I'm just putting it out there. And she said, no, Lauren, like, I am infuriated with you. You have betrayed me because you planned this trip behind my back. And I've got my own trip to South Africa planned the next month after you. And you going to South Africa will ruin my trip. It really confused me at the time because, first of all, I thought the only thing that mattered about this was that we were going to tell this important story. We were going to tell the story of people that were being horrendously harmed, discriminated against, tortured, and killed, and that was what mattered here. Not who got to the story first or what the timeline was for who was telling it. And more so,
that's Kool-Aid, guys, okay? We're in a bad cult.
We were both planning trips, and I was the only one who held to our pinky promise to invite the others. So I didn't understand I just really didn't understand what right she had to be angry in that situation. But she was infuriated. So I tried to calm her down. This is a horrible trait I had. I was such a pushover with people that I was friends with in media, especially conservative media. Definitely not with the left or in public, but with my conservative friends, I was such a pushover. I just wanted to keep them friends with me. I really respected them. I thought so highly of this movement I was a part of. I didn't want them to hate me. So I always tried to smooth things over, which caused probably more problems than it solved. But I told Faith, I'm like, screw it, let's just do it together. You can come on my trip. We'll figure it out. It'll be fine. And Faith eventually agreed. She said, all right, Lauren, we'll do the trip together. It's fine. We're okay. 3 days passed. I kept contacting her, sent her text messages, called her, sent her Twitter DMs saying, hey, I'm booking flights. Are you coming? Are you coming? And she had disappeared off the map. She wasn't responding to anything I sent. And then 3 or 4 days later, she released a video on her YouTube channel titled Faith Goldie's Exclusive Trip to South Africa. All alone, just Faith. I'm going by myself. I'm going to go uncover the truth. All of the things I had told her about that I was going to do in my documentary with her, she just published as her own little exclusive thing. I called her up and I said, hey, I thought we were doing this together. What's going on? And she said, no, Lauren, I'm doing it by myself. I'm getting the story. And if you tell anyone you're going as well, I'll say you stole the trip from me. Like, what?
All right.
Like, what? This
Quick
whole idea
video.
of stealing an idea from someone else, from a story that needs to be covered by as many people as possible, didn't make any sense to me, first of all. I wouldn't care if we both went on the trip, if she went first, if I went after. It didn't matter. It wasn't about the exclusive. It was about getting eyes on this extremely important subject. But
on the trip, if she went first, if
to
I
her,
went after, it didn't matter.
it was about making sure it was Faith Goldie's expose. Not just an expose of the truth, but that it was Faith Goldie that got the story. And that was another one of those moments of meeting my heroes and wondering, do you actually care about any of this? Do you care about any of this? Do you care about people seeing it? Or do you care about people knowing you're the one that got the story? And that was really another one of those, there's so much.
What do we have to do
from
to
someone
fuck over Lauren to be in her next?
idea from someone else, from a idea from someone else, from a. We'll figure it out. It'll be fine. And Faith eventually agreed. She was saying, hey, I'm booking flights. Faith Goldie's exclusive. She released a video on her YouTube channel titled Faith Goldie's Exclusive Trip to South Africa. All alone, just Faith. I'm going by myself. I'm going to go uncover the truth. All of the things I had told her about that I was going to do in my documentary with her. She just published as her own little exclusive thing.
Damn,
I called her up and I said, hey, I thought we were doing this together. What's going on? And she said, no, Lauren, I'm doing it by myself. I'm getting the story.
Fuck, that is so lame, dude.
Manifesto, guys. There's got to be something.
Brokenness in this political movement, so much brokenness. It really hurt. It really hurt to lose a friendship over something like that.
breaks my heart that you felt betrayed. I'm so sorry for even having the conversation by going alone. I hope you understand. I've wanted to do this with you since day one discussing it. I'm praying that you can forgive me for even contemplating the idea. Let me know when you're free to talk with me and the lads. We can include Matt as well. Let's create something amazing together. God bless. Damn, what a cuck. What a pushover.
Especially one that I thought was a close friendship, but I said, I almost considered canceling the whole trip, genuinely, because I was so upset about the whole friendship thing and Faith hating me. But eventually I went back to Kaylin and George. We talked it over and we're like, no, like, this is an important story. We need to tell it. Faith can do hers. Wish her all the success in the world. I hope as many people cover this as